Hello, good morning, afternoon. We are in for another tier ranking video. I did one of these where I tier ranked all of the different editions, like different series of classics that I really like. And that video went down a treat. So here's another little sweet treat for you. Here is me just tier ranking different iconic classics. Some of these I have read, some of these I have not yet read, but may have owned for a while. This is by no means an original genre video. I will link the Jack Edwards one that this is basically based off in the description below. You can go judge him later, but right now you're gonna sit here and you're gonna judge me for my opinions. Because I already know for a fact that you're not all gonna like every opinion that I have. So this is just tier ranking iconic classics of literature for shits and gigs. So let's obviously start with the rankings that I've come up with because I think they're funny, so validate me. The bottom pile is pretty self-explanatory. This is my shame pile. This is everything that I own or keep saying that I should read and that I just don't read. The next one up is just not worth the trees. These are ones that I have read that I feel irritated and angry by. Just, it wasn't worth the pages it was printed on, so it is not worth the trees. The one up from that is Betrayal. These are classics that I really thought were gonna be good. The ones above that are just mid. Like, they committed no crimes other than not being particularly interesting to me as a person, or I just thought they were a bit The tier from that is a Good Girl. Because look, you're gonna sit here, just the two of us, and you're gonna lie to me and say you've never read a book for academic validation. Yeah, I didn't think so. Sometimes you just gotta read it because you wanna feel smart. I don't think there's actually anything wrong with that, unless you're like torturing yourself to read a book. Then what's the point? But it's just stuff that I'm happy about I've read, okay? Up from that is required reading. These are the books that I have probably gone on and on about to you, but everybody should read them. And the level above that, my holy grails. This is bangers and mash, because if you've stuck around for long enough, first of all, hello, my name is if you've never watched my content before, I do a lot of book videos on classics and just contemporary lit fic, and if any of these books or my rankings sound up your street, do subscribe, do follow along. Remember, subscribing is free. And you get a little bell that tells you when I upload a video. Come along for the journey. Do you see these piles? These piles? These are book videos that I haven't finished yet. But whenever I really enjoy a book, I will refer to it as a banger. I don't care if it's 300 years old. If that slaps, that slaps. And I have taken to editing out my swearing with a little squeaky toy, so enjoy that as well. It's great. I've dumped like 70 book covers into here. Some I have read, some I have not. Most of these I do own though. Ooh, first up is Stoner. I know I said I was going to read this at the end of last year. I haven't read it, so it's on my TBR. Like, I want to read it like next. I'm currently reading The Hobbit. I'm just, it's going to be good, so I want to save it for like the right moment. I love this idea that there's such thing as a mood reader, because I don't understand how you could read any other way. And no, it's not a problem. I love the wine cellar analogy for having loads and loads of books. And I also think it's so true. The first book I read this year was Stephen King's On Writing. Do you want to know how long I'd owned that book before I actually read it? I bought that book in 2015. I was like 17 years old and I just never read it. I also feel like had I read it then, I wouldn't have got anywhere near as much out of it now as I have at 27, I'm not 28 yet. It's fine to have a book for a decade before you read it. It's fine. Oh no, another one. No Country for Old Men. This is another one that I really want to read and I'm excited to read. So it's on the shame pile because I do own it. I have not read it yet. Whole video is going to be calling myself out on books I have not read. It's fine. Why do you think I fought the allegations of being a booktuber for so long? It's because of this. Also, happy HS4 announcement to all that celebrate. I promise this gift was a mug. It's an atrocity, but I love it very dearly. Okay, yay, here's something I have in fact read. This one is going straight up into bangers and mash. The Aeneid by Virgil. What an epic. It's like half Odyssey, half Iliad. He's a Trojan hero who like leaves after the sack of Troy and goes to help like find the Trojans like new land that they can then call their own home, and that's like a myth for the founding of Rome. It's also part like the Emperor Augustus like propaganda, but then also not, because Virgil's really critical of like needless wars. It's just such an interesting read and I cried when reading it. I found it both very moving and very interesting, and it's just so good. It seems a scary one, I get that, but there's so many good YouTube videos on Rome, on Virgil, on the Aeneid that like, enjoy the YouTube videos, you'll be fine. Don't be scared of it, please go enjoy it. But if your first time doing any classics, take a prose version, it'll be fine. Ooh, Daniel Defoe's Roxana. I wrote my dissertation on this. Many of you noticed that Roxana wasn't in my 5 best books of all time, in my opinion. The reason is, I've just read better things since. I decided that this was one of my favourite books when I was like 20, 27 now. I've read a lot of good stuff in the meantime. I'm gonna put it in bangs and mash. It really changed my understanding of like literature at the time, and especially like the novel in 18th century England, especially if you're more interested in like strong female characters and also like slightly more immoral female characters and things. Marriage and marriage markets at that point of history, like proto-feminism, women's rights, really, really interesting thing to look at. And I just love Daniel Defoe. So he's a cheeky bugger and I quite enjoy that. Alright, moving on. I actually don't know what this is. This is the Master and the Margarita. It's just gonna go on my pile of shame because I have not read this yet. But I did receive a copy from my brother for Christmas. It's unfortunate, bless him, he bought me Penguin Cloth Band Classic, which I hate, but I really was excited to read that, so well done to my brother finding me like a book I was like actually quite stoked to read. The premise is that the devil comes to Moscow and there's a witch on a broom. That's about as much as I know about it, but it's weird enough that it has my attention, but just, yeah, those editions are not good. Here are the before and afters of my edition of Count of Monte Cristo, if anybody wants to know. I'm going to keep going on about this. They're not worth the money. Don't even buy them for people as gifts, especially not serious readers. These are gifts you buy people who don't read books. That's my hot take on those. Moving on, this is, this is Lolita. Oh no, my pile of shame is getting quite long already. Lolita I've had for quite a while. But again, I think it's something that you need to be in a specific kind of, I'm not gonna say mood, more frame of mind to want to read. Lolita is about paedophilia. Do you want to read that before you tuck yourself into bed? I don't know about that. I think it's interesting enough to read, but I think, you know, you need to be in the right mind frame for it. And also like I've been a nanny, so it's a bit too weird still, and I don't think I'd be able to read it after I have kids, so I have no idea when the right time in your life to read this is. If anybody has any recommendations in terms of do I read it over the summer, somebody give me some reading help, because I don't really know where to start with this one. It's one that I really want to have read, but I don't want to read it. Okay, what's this? Ooh, okay. This is kind of in the shame pile, but not really. I don't own it yet. East of Eden. It's gone so, I find it really funny when this happens. TikTok has become obsessed with it. It is all over my For You page, but I'm really, really, really getting swayed to read it, even though like that is a honker of a book. Like that is a fat book. It does intimidate me, so I'm not like fully ready to commit to it yet, but I like the idea of being somebody who's read it. Oh no. This is my first one for not worth the trees. That was Persuasion by Jane Austen. Look, I don't have the best relationship with Jane Austen. I think it was sold to me too hard by the adults in my life when I was a teenager. Everybody was telling me that you have to read Pride and Prejudice, you have to read Sense and Sensibility. Forcing Austen on me has made me really not want to read her. And I read Persuasion for a English class when I was like 16, 17 maybe. And my friends will happily, merrily attest to this, as they often do when it gets brought up. Every single time I sat down to read Persuasion, it's only like 200 pages. Every single time I fell asleep. Could not keep my eyes open reading this book. And I honestly just think I was way too young for it. A while ago I accepted I just need to be a little bit more mature before I can enjoy her. I'm just not, I think I prefer a book where things just kind of go tits up. I think that's one of the reasons I really like Daniel Defoe's Roxana. Like it's just all a little bit ugh, instead of being like, fairy tale. So we'll see with Austen. I think I just need to grow up a little bit more before I think I'm ready to read her without rolling my eyes. Look, you wanted an opinion, there's my opinion. What's this one? Oh, okay, well, yeah, this is Pride and Prejudice. I'm gonna put it in my shame pile, obviously, like I just said. I just need a bit more maturity to read that. And like accepting that it's a romance. I think I focus so heavily on the fact that it's a classic, and that almost then puts me off it. I think if I just saw it as like a romance book, I would probably read it. Okay. Frankenstein. Bangers and frickin' mash. Okay, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I was betrayed by the movie. No, I could not do it. But the book itself is great. What a treatise on the human condition. How are you 18 years old and writing that? How? You know, it's a creation myth. It's about man. It's about like unconditional love. It's just about like, just because you can, should you, and like the frontiers of like scientific exploration and creation, and it's just what an interesting novel. It's also so fun. I really, really enjoyed it. Mary Shelley is a mother of science fiction. She deserves every single cent of credit for that. And I would say it's required reading, but it is, but also it was really good. So into bangers and mash. Bangers and mash. Bang, schmack. No, you got where I was going with that, right? Okay. So we're gonna put Descartes, Discourse on the Method, into required reading. I'm not going to tell you that it was bangers and mash because it melted my brain. It thoroughly restructured my brain and my approach to thinking critical thought, and now I don't know what it's about anymore. Here's my dude. Here we go. We're gonna go on Wikipedia. Yeah, okay, so this is what's interesting about it. It's the problem of skepticism and just how you think and how you evaluate thought and ideas, and like, oh, where does an idea come from? Why do you hold said prejudice? How do you evaluate that? And does it actually fit in to your personal worldview? Or is it something that you've acquired from somewhere else and now you're just like regurgitating and you don't know why? Such an interesting one to show you like different like manners of critical thinking, and really met me at the right moment to sort of form my little brain. Not easy, but it's worth it. Ooh, okay, Afra Ben. This is are you Orinoco? You are Orinoco. We're putting you in good girl. Afra Ben is she's a 16th century writer. Everything is in capitals today. Here we go, here's Afra Ben. She's from the 16th century. Nope, she's from the 17th century, and she's one of the very early female writers in English lit, playwright, poet, prose writer. She's a really interesting one, and I don't think she gets talked about, especially like on places like booktube enough. I read Orinoco, and Orinoco is about like a slave boy. Yes, Orinoco, and it's considered one of the first works of prose in English literature. So definitely for that historical element, worth reading. It probably won't be the most amazing thing you ever read in your entire life, but it's definitely a very interesting one to see that development of the novel and of prose, especially in English literature, and especially because, you know, women are writing very early on, because women have always written. Remember these things, please. Okay, carrying on. Oh no. This is Wuthering Heights. Ugh, I'm sorry. It's going straight into betrayal. I have a weird relationship now with Wuthering Heights. Did I enjoy it? I don't know if I enjoyed it. I don't really think I enjoyed it. I enjoyed bits of it. It's discussed really weirdly relative to what it actually is, and people calling it a romance I think is the most did we read the same book? This book is insane. They're all insane. They're all throwing knives at each other. There's like the amount of child abuse in here is crazy. It's just incredibly toxic and just not. But who thinks this book is a romance? I feel betrayed by it because I want to be clear, I did not go into it expecting a romance, not at all. But like, this book is bat crazy. Not to my own personal taste whatsoever, but I do obviously appreciate that Emily Bronte is very intelligent, she's very sharp, she commentates on a lot of really interesting things. But like, this book is like unhinged. Like, it's, the hinges, the door is gone. There is no door anymore. I will also say that it puts me in a really weird position when it comes to Emerald Fennell's upcoming Wuthering Heights, because I'm really excited. I don't believe in like the sanctity of the novel, right? So as a filmmaker, you can do whatever the heck you want. So the idea of she's doing Wuthering Heights, I'm excited for. She's not trying to sell us a one-to-one adaptation. Also, because every one-to-one adaptation I've ever seen has been really, really boring. So I'm excited to see what on earth is this film going to be. My hot take is I reckon this film is going to almost be Wuthering Heights in this like kind of romantic imagination rather than what the text actually is. I'm going to be so surprised if people who love the book love the film. I think it's people who don't like the book who are going to love the film. Me. Oh no, we have another one for Emma's Pile of Shame. Jane Eyre. I have owned this now for so long. I keep telling you all that I'm going to read it, and then I simply do not read it, and I don't know why. I think I'm terrified of it. Terrified of getting stuck in it, because when I read Wuthering Heights, I got stuck in it for a while, and that really zapped away like quite a large amount of my enjoyment of the book. I'm worried it's gonna drag. Somebody tell me I'm wrong. Hype me up, please. I desperately need I need the emotional motivation, but I know I'll read it at some point, just not yet. Okay, my shame pile is looking alarmingly long. Oh, yes! Count of Monte Cristo. Okay, absolute banger. That book slaps. It's so good. Yes, it's 1,200 pages. Okay, sure. Like, honestly, minor detail. It is plot, 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 plot. There is just crazy stuff that happens. Murders, and there's like imprisonments, and there's escapes, and there's treasure, and there's poisonings, and there's it's such a wild ride. What you have to remember is that Alexandre Dumas was a playwright, and he also, you know, that motherfucker at pay. Every single thing in there is in the right place. It's just so well paced. It is so entertaining, it's so enjoyable, and you just get so much out of it. And it is just, in my opinion, like the biggest like summer blockbuster you could read. Yeah, sure, it's a classic, whatever. Don't let that scare you. It's just so fun. Oh no. Ugh, Camus the Outsider. She's in Betrayal. I try really hard with Camus. I really do. And I just, that's it. That's all I have to say. Okay, do you know what Achebe? Okay, right. This is getting to required reading. Things Fall Apart is an absolute masterpiece of a novel. If you have not read it yet, why? It's set in Nigeria in the 19th century. Someone accidentally kills someone else and they are exiled from their village. They're away for a while and then they finally get to return, but once they return to their village, they see it's been taken over by English colonizers. What an interesting novel. It is such a beautifully written book. It is just such a treat to have something like that in the English language. So I'm not going to tell you anymore. If that sounds up your street, honestly check it out. It's such a good one, and it really is quite devastating. What are you? Oh no, this is Henry James. Not worth the trees. I hate this book. I am so sorry. I hated this book. My gripe is in part with you lot, because I put up a poll, where was this? Maybe on Instagram, and I'd asked, you know, should I read The American by Henry James or should I read Brideshead Revisited by Evelyn Waugh? And I got told, oh my god, Emma, read The American, you're gonna love it. Nothing happens for like 400 pages. That book, I can't tell you what happened in that book because it was dull, okay? I have never, nothing happens. The book is so long. Did not enjoy that. No. What's this? Oh no, one for my pile of shame. Kafka's Betrayal. I do own it. I think I just keep forgetting that I own it, if I'm entirely honest. And because it's short, I keep pulling it out of my bookcase at the end of the year, like, okay, I'll read this to help me top up my Goodreads total. I then worry it's gonna be one of these like 150 page books that takes me 3 weeks to read, and then I put it back again. I should probably put it on the top of my TBR pile. But my other problem is I've got like 3 TBR piles, so very, thank you, Emma, that was super articulate. Ooh, Immanuel Kant. What is enlightenment? I'm gonna put it in Good Girl. When I was at university, my favourite thing to read was things from the Enlightenment. I loved the idea of like reason and rationality, and I really enjoyed a lot of the novels around this period as well, a lot of the central figures. So this was just something I really enjoyed reading, but just like from my own personal preference. That was definitely one of these things I think I maybe read a bit more for academic validation, but it was only academic validation like from myself. I wanted to prove I was smart to myself. Okay, Princess, okay, Princess de Clèves. Okay, I hesitated, so I'm going to put it in required reading. I really enjoyed The Princess de Clèves. It's a novel by Madame de Lafayette. It's from, what are you? You're from the 17th century, but it's a historical novel, so it's actually set in the 16th century. Yes, I'm correct. The action takes place between Look, it's a historical court drama. Relative to my taste, you cannot go wrong. And also this edition is pretty fun as well for me personally, because it's a translation by Nancy Mitford, who's one of my favourite authors of all time. If you want historical fiction, court drama, but like written by somebody who was at court, read this one. And Madame de Lafayette also gets credit for helping to establish, you know, the novel and prose in French literature. What's next on the, oh no, it's another one with the pile of shame. There's a lot on this pile of shame, isn't there? Mrs. Manzoni's The Betrothed. I own it, and I still have not read it. There's a couple of these that are a little bit scary at the thought of reading, and my ongoing thing, like I've said, is I just don't want to get stuck. It's a 19th century novel, but it's like set in the 17th century during the plague in Milan, and is about the romance and relationship between two characters who may be or not get to be together. TBD on what happens, because I don't know, I haven't read the book yet. Ooh, okay. La 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 la. There was Marcus Aurelius Meditations. That's a fun book, and I think it's also just fun to read stuff by historical figures. A Roman emperor like Marcus Aurelius. That's cool. No, Mrs. Clarice Lispector, Near to the Wild Heart. Betrayal. Betrayal. I enjoyed it, I think, but half the time her prose is unspeakably beautiful, and the other half it's just so deeply confusing. She's postmodern, she's surrealist, she's not going to be for everybody. I think I need to accept that I don't like surrealism or really postmodernism, but I keep trying to go back. I just like want to make it work. It's a toxic relationship. I just can't get it to work. I really desperately wanted to tell you that like it was the best thing I'd ever read, but ooh, Picture of Dorian Gray. Okay, I've instantly made one of my friends angry. Forgive me. I like The Picture of Dorian Gray. It's a good book. You probably should read it. It's really fun for, you know, attitudes in the 19th century, especially if you want to see like, oh, 19th century London. My voice is completely going, and the central plot and concept to it is super great, but it's just not one of the best things I've ever read, but it is still really, really good, and I think a lot of you will enjoy it if you haven't already had the pleasure of reading it. Okay, moving on. Ooh, there we go. La 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 la. Bangers and mash. I'm gonna put this in required reading. Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. I'm not gonna elaborate. Like, you should just all read it. Don't worry that it's like fantasy. Enjoy the fact that it's fantasy. That one's self-explanatory. Okay, woo. Daphne du Maurier. This is Rebecca. It's going on my pile of shame. It's what I want to read next. So it's what I want to read when I have finished reading The Hobbit. You all assured me it will be up my street. I'm holding you all at your word. So let's carry on. Okay, Sard, Justine. I'm not going to put it in required reading. I'm also not going to put it in Bangs and Mash because that book is for certain kind of not for everybody. It's by the Marquis de Sade. He's the namesake for sadism. I will say no more other than, yeah, I wrote my dissertation on one of his other works, so I wrote it on Roxana by Daniel Defoe and then Juliet by Sade. This is Justine by Sade. What do we have? Oh, Sappho! Sappho's going required reading because it's Sappho. I also really, really enjoyed that. It was one of the first things of poetry that I read cover to cover. It's so fun, like you're reading poetry that's thousands of years old and it still makes you feel emotions. That's crazy. Ooh, more ancient stuff. Seneca. We're putting Seneca in required reading. It's Seneca on the Shortness of Life. I found those little essays and tidbits surprisingly practical and surprisingly like applicable to modern life. One of them that he has in there is something like, don't open a letter that arrives on your desk after 5 p.m. And one of my mum's cardinal rules is not to open emails after 6 p.m. because it just ruins your entire evening, which was Seneca's whole point. So I think there's something very funny about that. And then also how he's going on about at one point how, these people who have books in their home for decoration, they haven't got a soul. I just thoroughly enjoyed like book people or like scroll people in Seneca's case, like, so we've just been the same for thousands of years. It's cool. Stories of Young Werther by Goethe. Interesting if you want to read stuff about the Romantics. It's about like suicide. She doesn't love me to kill myself. It's not for everyone and it's kind of like a weird one to read with like I guess like a modern retrospective on it, but it's interesting to read like in regards to the Romantics. But I just think the older I get, the more that like almost like weird like romantic charm that it had to me as a teenager is like totally worn off now, and I'm like mildly concerning, but alright. Up next, Stendhal, Red and the Black. La 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 la. I hate that book. I hate it so much. It was also spoiled for me. Thanks, Mum. But it just, I just like the Napoleon fanboyism. I can only take so much of it, okay? I need it in like limited doses. Stendhal, Red and the Black, not for me. But one of my tutors at uni said, you will love Red and the Black or hate the Charterhouse of Parma, which is Stendhal's other very famous novel. You hate one and love the other, there's no in between. And I much, much prefer and do love his novel, Charterhouse of Parma. Red and the Black, not a fan, did not like. Ooh. Bell jar. bell jar. This like changed my brain chemistry when I read it a couple of years ago. I am glad I didn't read this while I was at university or while I was struggling more with my mental health. I don't think that would have helped me. I think this is like a book that I was happy to read once I've, you know, been like fully recovered from all of that, and it's like quite far in my past now. But if you read this when you're like going through it mentally, ugh, that's not great. It's maybe one to skip for that period of your life, but being able to kind of look, I guess, back at my own experiences through Sylvia Plath's masterpiece, because it is an absolute stunner of a book, but like being able to like retrospectively look back, yeah, in your own life through like a literary lens, like this is really, really interesting. And I think something in me healed a little bit reading it, but I wouldn't read this if you're still struggling. What's this? Oh, Raymond Carver. Yeah. What we talk about when we talk about love is a collection of short stories by Raymond Carver. They're these very quiet vignettes into American life, and so worth the read. It's not very long at all, and I think most of you would enjoy it. And we somehow have Manzoni on here twice, but that's fine. I got excited, clearly. All right, yeah, more for the pile of shame. And my pile of shame is, it's now 2 tiers long. It's going really well, Emma. I bought it for my brother for Christmas. I was like, you read it, you tell me if it's good. But I have not yet even got around to purchasing a copy. I think it will be the next Dostoevsky that I read, but I think I'm, again, intimidated by it, so I need to hype myself up to read it, because that is a thick boy. Ooh, okay, blah, 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 blah. Ray Bradbury, Fahrenheit 451. I'm gonna put this in Good Girl. It's not one of my favourite things that I've read of all time, but I think that it's one that is really interesting to read, especially now. Like, yeah, we're amusing ourselves to death and you will own nothing and you'll be happy. Definitely one to not avoid reading. It's very simple, but it's no less good because it's simple, and I really think everybody who reads it would get something out of it. We all use technology, all of us here like books. We are the target audience for it. So make the effort to read that one, even if it's not maybe one that you think you'd naturally gravitate towards. Oh, okay, The Hobbit. La 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 la. I'm reading this, so I'm allowed to rank it. La 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 la. Nee 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 nee. I'm gonna put this in Good Girl too. I'm really enjoying it. It's a children's book, so it's really, you know, it's simple, it's easy, it's fun, it's adventurous, and yeah, it was just really enjoyable. Next up, Crime and Punishment. That is going straight up into bangers and mash. Reading that has literally been one of my biggest literary achievements as a reader ever. Really liked it. I also at one point put it down and then didn't pick it up for another 9 months, but like totally ignored that bit of my story, okay? So worth the read, so worth the effort. Just what a look at the human condition. Like, damn. Ooh, The Prince, Machiavelli. La 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 la. Let's put this in. Ooh, oh no, there we go, I can move it. I would say put this in Good Girl. I think you could all get something out of reading it. It's a lot about power. It's about, you know, how you hold on to power, all of those kind of things. I think it's fun to read when you're like, you know, impressionable and like, I don't know, 19. And yeah, with that, honestly, like, why not? Why not? Ooh, this is Jekyll and Hyde. I was made to read it at school. Mid. Ooh, oh no, A Handmaid's Tale. I haven't read it. I keep telling myself, oh, yeah, I'll read it next. Yeah, I'll read it next. Yeah, I'll read it next. And then I keep always picking up something else. I don't know why I keep doing this to this book. I guess it's one of those where I don't know what kind of frame of mind you need to be in to go, yeah. And this is the one I want to read now. Ooh, oh no, another one for the pile of shame. I was doing so well there for a moment. This is Emily Bronte. It's not Emily Bronte, it's Anne Bronte, the tenant of Wildfell Hall. The Brontes feel like autumn reading to me. Secluded, big house, gossip, just, you know, give it to me. I think at the end of last year, I sort of just ran out of seasonally appropriate time to read it. What is this? Ooh, Dangerous Liaisons. That is a move up. There we go, that is a banger. It's so fun. It's an epistolary novel and they're like trying to ruin somebody's life. Sauciness and sword fighting and doing, what else do you want? They're just being manipulative assholes. It's straight up evil and it is straight up excellent. The film as well, what a movie. I don't need to tell you anything else. I just need to tell you to read it. Ooh, Romance of the Forest by Anne Radcliffe. Ugh. Yeah, have not read that either. I'm scared of it. I don't want to get stuck into it and I'm just really worried it's gonna be boring. I own like 5 of Anne Radcliffe's books and I haven't read any of them. I bought them when I was like, what, 20? I think I thought better of myself than I now know that I am. Ooh, okay. This one is going on the pile of shame, but it won't be on there for long. Anna Karenina. It's one of the big ones, but I want to read this year. I will tackle this year. You know, it's literally just a doomed romance. Like, how could that possibly go wrong? And also the other thing is, I did watch the movie, and now the idea of like fan casting Aaron Taylor-Johnson in this book makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, that kind of also sold it to me, but let's just move on. Oh no, Ovid. I, for whatever reason, now own 2 copies of Ovid Metamorphosis. I think I haven't even tried to read this, mainly because I don't really know how to approach it. It's 600 pages of poetry, so if anybody has any reading advice, say, because I need help. Ooh, is our guy, Michel de Montaigne. He's gonna go in Bangers and Mash. His essays were groundbreaking for what they are, and they're really just, they're a little entertaining to read. Some of them are more, you know, lengthy treatises on the human condition, and other ones are like, on smells. What? Really unexpectedly fun. Another one for the shame pile. Rousseau, Social Contract. This is like a small version by Penguin, and I bought it when I was at uni, and I was reading a lot of this kind of stuff because I felt like people talked about it all the time, so I should have read it, and I still haven't read it. But I do flirt with it every once in a while because I feel like it maybe would change some of my worldviews, but I guess we're just not there yet. Ooh, Carmilla. Carmilla is gonna go in, is it required reading? Carmilla is like a fun, like a vampire flick, but like one of the earliest ones. It's a little bit lesbian, but not really, so it's like teeny weeny bit sapphic. It's more like, you know, possessive female friendships. Reads like a movie plot. If on a winter's night a traveller. Bangs and Mash. Absolutely. You wanna know why I love this book? Watch my video where I explain my top favourite books of whatever the words are. Such an interesting novel, and really told me like, you can do whatever you want with words. You really can. Like, that's awesome. Okay. Oh no, it's not the one I thought it was. The Odyssey. It has to go in my shame pile. I own a copy of The Odyssey, and I don't know where it is. I lost that book a while ago, and I just haven't been able to find it. I straight up refuse to buy a new copy because I know I have a copy and I just can't find it, so... Look, if a story is anything to go by, it'll turn up eventually. Voltaire, Candide or Optimism. Okay, I really liked this book. I'm putting that in Good Girl. It's a fun little ride. It's not a difficult book by any stretch of the imagination. And if you're getting into reading classics, I think it's a really good place to start. Finally, next up. Yes, the Iliad. I have read the Iliad. It's really, really, really good, and I enjoyed so much of the time, and it's one that I really look forward to getting to reread. You know, it's Homer's epic of the war in Troy. It can do no wrong. If you haven't already, please do read it. It's so fun. Ooh, Pamela. You know what? I can't remember if I've read Pamela. I may have read Clarissa, or maybe I've read bits of both. I don't remember if I've read this book, so that's going on the pile of shame. I definitely own it. Don't know if I read it, can't remember anymore. Ooh, Orlando. Bangs and Mash now has 2 tiers. Orlando is a novel by Virginia Woolf about a English nobleman who doesn't age and then at one point randomly swaps genders. Because the way that novel is written is absolutely incredible. It is basically like a love letter to the English language. It's a love letter to the Sackville West by Woolf. Very, very steadfast in that being one of my favourite novels of all bloody time. Ooh, no, Horace Walpole. This is Castle of Otranto. This is Drury Hill House. If you're in and around London, it's such a good place to go check out. Really, really recommend. It's like Disney Gothic little palace. And I bought it in the gift shop, and I haven't read it yet. I was going to read it for like my Gothic little season that I was going to do for myself in October, but I basically got so stuck reading Dracula that I just didn't end up reading anything else that I wanted to that was going to be Gothic. Ugh, Camus, The Fall. Not Worth the Trees. Hated that book. Sent me into such a reading slump. Ugh. Ooh, Virginia Woolf, A Room of One's Own. That's required reading. That should be pretty self-explanatory. Brideshead Revisited. Bam. Bangers and Mash. Absolutely one of my favourite books of all time. Novel set in big houses. We love a nostalgic look back. This interwar period. It's the Oxford novel. It's brilliant. Arguably another love letter to English language. Ooh. Okay. This is Angela Davis, Women, Race and Class. I have owned this for such a long time and I still have not read it. I keep telling myself I read it in this magical place of later, but I don't really know how to find the right version of later. Any advice would be super appreciated. We're almost there, I promise. Ooh, okay. Nancy Mitford! Pursuit of Love. Bangers and mash. She is one of my favourite novelists of all time, including her historical biographies. I just really like her stuff. Every one of her books I have read, I have enjoyed. Believe me, they're not all as good as one another, they're not all excellent, but I've enjoyed all of them. What's this? Oh no, it's Primo Levi. It's periodic table. I've owned this. Oh no, we've got 3 lines of my shame pile. That's fine. The periodic table is his account of his survival of Auschwitz. So it goes without saying that it's heavy, and I think you really need, you know. I read Elie Wiesel Night, which I didn't think I've put into this list, but when I read that, I basically impulse read it, and I think almost, maybe that's the answer to my question, I think you just need to just go for it, because if you do what I've been doing with a lot of these novels and you and ah, you'll never get around to reading it. And advice to myself more than anyone else, I think if you want to read stuff like that, you just have to get on with it. I don't know when I'm going to read the periodic table, I know it's going to make me devastatingly sad, and like not in like a fun way that fiction does, but in just a, you know, the weight of human suffering kind of way, so we'll see. The thing with my shame pile is I will read all of these books eventually. I've just got to make sure I get hit by a car or something, because that'd be so unfortunate. I think that's the thing with when you buy a lot of books and you own a lot of books, even ones you haven't read yet. Every book you choose, you're kind of building an ideal version of who you want to be. So I don't think there's anything wrong with having books that it takes you a long time to read. You know, it's not like it's going to go off. You really will read it eventually. Ooh, Castle Rackrent. I didn't see this one talked about very much at all. I'm going to put you in A Good Girl. This is just a fun novel. It follows like 4 generations of a family who live in Ireland in this castle, Castle Rackrent, and they're all just a little bit nuts. Ooh. Fanny Hill by John Cleland. I'm going to put you in Good Girl because I definitely don't think it's required reading. It's about sex, basically. It's a like kind of graphic novel from the 18th century. It's a super interesting one to read for like contemporary attitudes and stuff, but I don't know, it's not going to be for all of you. Ooh, Enchanted April! Okay, bangs and mash. Literally has become one of my favourite books of all time, and I have gone on and on and on about it on this channel, so all I will just say is, what a joy. What a pleasure, what a joy. If you need something like fun and uplifting to read that. Okay, what's... Ooh! The Leopard, Il Gatto Pardo. What an absolute masterpiece. I love that book. I watched the series on Netflix. It was really, really, really good. I just think that book is absolutely excellent, and I'm so sorry if you were forced to read it at school. My heart goes out to you because this is one of my favourite novels of all time. It's absolutely excellent. What is this? Oh no! This is War and Peace by Tolstoy. My predicament with this book is I've read half of it. I don't know why. I was reading it when I was like 16 or maybe even 17, and then I had to do my A-levels, and so I stopped reading it. I'm going to put it on my shame pile, but I'm going to put it on the top of my shame pile. It's just embarrassing at this point, isn't it? What's this? Ooh, Name of the Rose. Is it bangers and mash or is it required reading? I'm going to put it in required reading. It's set in a monastery in the 12th century, but it's really fun, and there's like mystery, and there's like a library, and there's like a maze, and then there's like deaths that happen for some reason, nobody knows why, and it's just a really good mystery and a really good time. You just have to also like make sure that you get through like all of the pages of like historic and religious history that come with it, because it's just like Umberto Eco's like baby, okay? He was a medievalist, so he's been putting everything in there that he could, which means that sometimes it's a little bit tedious. When the plot starts plotting, the plot starts plotting. It's a fun one to read if you can stomach a bit of religious history as well. We're almost done. Okay, I don't know what this one is down here. Okay, bangs and mash. That was King Lear by Shakespeare. That is my favourite Shakespeare play. That's all you need to know. Let's move on. Okay, to the last one, the absolute last one. I promise we are done now. This is The Charterhouse of Parma. One of my favourite books of all time. It is so entertaining and so adventurous. It is a wild ride, and like I said, there's a level of like Napoleonic fanboying that I can stomach, and I did it for Fabrizio, whatever his name is. He is just such a romantic hero and teenage idiot, and it is this panoramic European novel, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, he accidentally like wanders onto a battlefield and there's like prison escapes and stuff. It's a lot of fun, and it's this mix of like really entertaining 19th century writing that's like just that little bit sensationalist, but then also these characters start developing like introspection and start becoming these really complicated characters. And it's a really interesting part of literary history to read, and Charles Palmer is a great example for that, and it's also just a great novel. There we go, we're done. I feel like I've missed out so many books, but you know, I can always do another one of these if so requested. But yes, my shame pile is of course much larger than it should be, and it's just staring at me now. But yes, there we go, there is everything. Those are Emma's hot and slightly not hot takes. Do of course let me know which one of my opinions you think is the most egregious. I'm of course all ears. Let me know your hot takes in the comments. Give me one novel you would have put in your bangs and mash, and one you would have put in your, you know, not worth the trees. Shock me, horrify me, please. I need to feel something. Like I said, I'll link Jack's original video down in the description. Let me know if there's any books from my shame pile that you're also really excited to read. And then as ever, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your time. Like, subscribe and all that jazz. And I'll see you guys. I'll see you hopefully very soon. Goodbye. Whee!